I think perhaps to put this matter into a context, the University of Johannesburg Confucius Institute came about through an agreement which was reached in 2014. University of Johannesburg Vice-Chancellor signed an agreement with the director of Hanbang. Hanbang is the headquarters of Chinese Confucius Institutes, which, as we speak, there are about roughly 550 all over the world. And Africa has roughly 46, and South Africa has the largest number of Confucius Institute. We have 5 in South Africa, and the University of Johannesburg Confucius Institute is the youngest of the 5. The main aim of the Confucius Institute, as per the agreement as well as the implementation agreement reached with the partner university, which is Nanjang, is to ensure that there is closer collaboration, one, around the issue of Mandarin as a language. And as you're aware, Mandarin, with a population 1.3, 1.4 billion people in the world, this is the largest population in the world, and this is the largest language. So, and it's not a matter of it being the largest language, it's also becoming a commercial language, given the fact that China economy is accelerated at the fastest rate. And there has been an increased business interaction between South Africa, Africa, and China. At the moment, China is South Africa's #1 trading partner. And largely, the role of China in the last 15 years in terms of assisting the continent, it's increasing, as well as Africa is assisting China on a number of areas. So it is understood within this agreement that there is a need to take this relationship at university level, at people to people, the element that we call public diplomacy, to ensure that the cultural dimension and relation between these two partners deepens to a level of people on the ground. And that can be done utilizing universities. And the University of Johannesburg itself, given its strategic position in Johannesburg, the capital, financial capital of South Africa, and to a larger extent of the continent, becomes a hub in which the interaction of Chinese as well as Africans really meeting of those minds is right here at University of Johannesburg. And therefore, the collaboration is in a number of areas. One is around the question of research, as I've already mentioned, between University of Johannesburg staff as well as Nanjing. At a second level, it's a question of exchange programs in terms of University of Johannesburg students who will go to China, as well as Chinese students and staff also will come to University of Johannesburg in terms of case studies. And number 3, which is core, also the learning of the Mandarin as a language itself. There will be Chinese teachers that we have, but far beyond that, I think the main aim is also to have South Africans who would learn the language to an extent that they will be able to teach. And I think that goal somehow we've been able to achieve in a very short space of time, as our classes attracting more and more students, staff, as well as job makers living within our radius as university. But as we relate to Nanjang University, we see more and more opportunities in which the Chinese government offers South Africa and African continent a number of scholarships. And one of the requirements is the need to learn Mandarin. I think this is all other foreign governments do. The Germans, they do the same, the French do the same, Japanese do the same. So unlike other traditional partners that we have, mainly from Western countries, Chinese way of handling this is different. It's different in the sense that these institutes do not stand alone in a foreign land. They would want to partner directly with the host country, and they prefer a university where you have endless activities. There's Chinese culture in terms of Chinese movie, as well as African movies. So it's a two-way traffic. And you have Chinese food, cuisine, which certain days of Chinese culture where we deal with these issues. We also are dealing with certain important cultural events in which Chinese celebrate. They have what we call the Chinese Spring Festival, as well as the Lantern Festival. These are key area that goes with the Chinese culture, which we as an institute promote. And I think the main aim is for South Africans, Africans, and the University of Johannesburg community coming from all over the world to understand China. I think the main aim has been there is a need to understand China from Chinese, not through lenses of other people, where Chinese would provide their own narrative in terms of who they are, how is their language, and how should we understand. And some of the reasons has to do with practical reality on a day-to-day basis. We have a growing Chinese enterprises in Johannesburg, for instance, and a lot of Chinese who are involved, and Africans who are employed or are in business partnership with these entities. And in that situation, there is a need of cultural understanding to ensure that your business operation goes smoothly. And therefore, I think our key and keen interest in Chinese Mandarin, it is not just learning in a colonial setting as if we are copying China. It is the only way that we think it will advance our interest as Africans, and as we relate, as our relationship with China deepens. Translation: how do we understand their documents? How do we negotiate with Chinese for whatever, whether at the government level, at the business level, at institutional level, or institutions of higher learning? How do we understand Chinese culture? And to what extent can that advance our interest as we negotiate with them? Because since 1994, one of the greatest disadvantage is that we enter into these agreements with China without fully understanding the dynamics that otherwise, if we had learned and understand, with some of our people understanding the language, would get a better understanding and strike a better deal. So I think we are informed by our national interest and continental interests, that it should not just be a relationship that ends with politicians either sign deals and people do not benefit out of this relationship.